You know, for instance, I can, let's say, on a Jewish level, I can get to think, what do I have to do as a Jew, right? What's my mission in life as a Jew? But then I can go even deeper. Why do we need Jewish people in the world in the first place, right? Well, what's the whole thing for, you know? You know, without getting involved, because when I first learned this, but this is very, very deep, you know? Right now, you know, for instance, if you look into the world, right now God is really showing the world, you know, why God needs Jewish people in the world, right? Because the whole world is saying we don't need them, right? You know, if you look at the war, you know, the world, mamish, says we don't need Jewish people. I hate to say bad things, but you know, there was a big conference of another religion, I don't want to mention their names, and they decided that for the sake of world peace would be a tremendous thing to wipe out the Jews, on their only meaning for peace, right? Because they're God-loving people. And they always quote the Old Testament, the New Testament, because of it. You know all about. And they had the chutzpah to say that if for world peace would be better to wipe out the Jews, then for the sake of God, let the Jewish people be wiped out. Disgusting, man. Disgusting, evil, murders, man. So, what is God showing the world? Right now God is opening all the gates of heaven. And showing the world, you know, look at the whole world, look at my Yiddish. Very strong. Anyway, so Avraham Avinu wants to know, not only, you know, at that time there was no Yiddish yet, right? Avraham Avinu wants to know, what is the whole thing for? What did you create the world for? What's going on here? Because one thing he understood, Asher kol chemdes olam hazeh lo yiskenu likos p'nim chaim amitim. He says, because all what's going on in the world is not called real living. You cannot say, you know, wow, I went to Bermuda and I had a good time and I was really alive. If this is all there is to life, for this God created such a big world. Meaning to say, if you really believe in God, this is all He can offer to the highest creature He created, a little location in Bermuda. That's all God can give you. You know, if a person says, you know, I went to a party, it was such a good time, you know. This is called, that's all, this makes you happy, you know. Or someone says, you know, thank God, stock market is going up. Okay, it's very sweet, I have nothing against it. But the question is, for this, God has to create the whole world and put in man a little part of himself, create God in His image, create man in His image, that just doesn't go right. So Avraham Avinu understood one thing, this isn't where it's at. Then he understood something else, that most of the things we're looking for in the world, okay, listen, imagine if I need a new suit, right? I'm so crazy, I need a new suit. But then I have it already. Or what I have after I have it. So I have it. Right? I'm hungry, I want to have a good meal. Okay, I had the good meal. What's after? Most things in the world, after you had them, you have nothing. Because all you wanted to have them, right? So you had it. This can't be life. Because life has to be something which only begins after you have it. Let's put it this way on a sad level. A lot of people get married because they want to get married. So they're married. After that, gunish, right? So they're married. Which is the saddest thing in the world, right? Was a bad thing in the first place. The truth is, you know, if they're really married, then it should begin after, right? Okay, they want to get married, it's very sweet, but after. So Avraham Avinu realized that all the things which I have, and I'm only hungry for them before I have them. And after that, who needs them? This can't be it. So Avraham Avinu, we learned it later, but I just want to tell you now, Avraham Avinu, can you imagine, it's heartbreaking. You know what was going on in the world? It was much like today. Okay, let's say 6 million Jews died, right? It's very sad. Can you imagine the whole world drowned? You know, we don't even have a concept to fathom it. Can you imagine? The whole world drowned and one family was left. It's unbelievable. Right? This isn't enough. A few years later, people make a Tower of Babylon, and there's right away they kill each other, knock each other off. So what was the world's reaction to that? Nothing. The world didn't react. One little holy Yidela Avraham Avinu. He was mamish thirsty. He says, mamish, you got to tell me what this is all about. You know, I tell you something very, very strong, you know, take it or leave it. Imagine if someone would get married and he would say, you know, I'm really married to a very beautiful girl. And then I would say, you know, what I do? Did I just like say that he didn't marry a beautiful girl? Or am I literally saying that he has no taste, right? It's not only the girl I'm talking about. It's him I'm talking about, right? You know, just bear one thing in mind. We are really the chosen people, right? What is the world so angry at us? They're not angry at us. They say, God, you didn't have good taste, right? God says, I'm giving the land to the Yidela. Right? So they want to say to God, listen, why didn't you give it to the Arabs, right? Suddenly they claim it's their holy place, nicht gestorben, nicht geflogen, right? Everything, you know. The whole world, they want mamish. You have to realize one thing, you know. So strong. Right now the war began between Yom Kippur, and right now all the beginning, the beginning, we're reading the beginning of the creation of the world. You have to realize one thing, the world is not fighting right now. They're fighting God who created the world. Right? They're saying that the God who created the world doesn't know what he's doing. Very, very strong. You know? Right now, mamish, the whole world is on a scale. You know, I was traveling on the plane. I was talking to people. You know, very strange. Right now, it's the whole world is showing. All the people in the world on our side, they really believe in God. There's no two ways about it. If anybody can say today, I believe in God, but they don't believe in Israel, he really doesn't believe in God. He really doesn't. You know, take all those preacher-lach, you know, they take all the prophets when it comes good for a Sunday morning service, you know, for sermon. But why don't you read what the prophet said, that God is giving Israel back to the Jews? Take it. Take X-Lax and stomach it, you know. But they can't stomach it, right? Because it's too real, right? Because then they really, you know, it's mamish. You know, I'll tell you something very strong. Right now the world wants mamish to exterminate the Jews, you know. And I'll tell you something stronger, which is very, very deep. As long as they killed 6 million Jews, they just wanted to exterminate the Jews. Maybe just the Jews. Right now they really want to exterminate God. Because they want to kill the Jews right in Israel. Right in that place which God gave to us, they want to knock us out. So mamish right now have to be so strong. Mamish, you know, I'll tell you something very strong. You know, my whole life, I'm not, I don't think maybe we Jews have to be so strong, I mean, you have to be inside, but maybe outside we can be more softer. You don't have to, take somebody from another religion and knock them off, Right now I do. Right now is the time. Because right now, I, as a Jew, can walk up to somebody else and tell them, listen, brother, are you on my side or not? If you're not on my side, you're not on God's side. And I can say it in all honesty. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. Because do I have to be better than God? This is what God is doing right now. God is opening the gates of heaven. And let's see what the word is, A person right now really, you really just have to really examine yourself. Which side are you on? Where are you? What kind of a Jew are you? What kind of person? I told before Malkele and Neman and Yosele some holy stories. I want to tell you. First of all, I'll tell you one holy story. I spoke to this wounded soldiers in Adasa hospital. Most soldiers never, they're just so wounded, it's not that they cannot move, from their bed down to the hall. That's, just heartbreaking, They completely, not only bandaged and those, they can't move, for months now. Anyway, but there are some soldiers somehow were able to be moved on wheelchairs and beds. So they were all together. So I was talking to them, and I said something about Avraham Avinu. One little soldier boy says to me, do you know how he looks like, our father Abraham? I said, I wish I would, He says to me, I know how he looks like. He says, believe me, I see him every night in my dream. Little boy. Tell you another strong story. The thing is not only those soldiers, the way they fight, so much holiness. You wouldn't believe how much they're shining, You walk on the street and you see soldiers walking with guns in their hands and they're shining. They're mamish shining. They're mamish protecting Israel. They're mamish protecting God, so to speak, The most unbelievable way. This Shabbos morning, when a lot of soldiers came down to daven by the holy wall, it was just so holy, just cannot imagine. Gewalt, Anyway, but this is one part of it. So the second part is how much one soldier cares for the other, How many hundreds of soldiers die just protecting somebody else, I want to tell you one story which I think is the greatest in the world. I was talking to those kids never who were burnt in tanks, It was just so gruesome. God forbid you burn a little bit your thinking, it hurts. Can you imagine you burn your whole body? Everything of you is burned, nothing. Some kids have no skin on them, no skin at all, It's just so gruesome to look at, It's the most gruesome thing I saw, It's even too horrible to say, Some boy had no skin anymore over his eyes, just everything was burned, just eyes sticking out, they're all red, just. And how many operations, plastic surgery they have to go through till they put some skin over their eyes, Anyway, this boy asked him, how long did it take you after you were burning up that the Israelis found you? So he says it was 2 hours. Can you imagine? 2 hours. So I said, what happened after the 2 hours? Yes, I tell you the truth. I looked around and I saw there are kids who were even more burnt than I am. So when it came my turn, I said to the doctor, please take somebody else because I still have strength to hold on. This is really the Holy of Holiest, An ordinary boy, I said to someone, all the stories we tell about Shem, that he was doing favors to people. All the tzaddikim would tell stories doing favors to people. It doesn't compare to this story. It doesn't compare. There was one boy, you know. I heard a very beautiful story, you know. It's very deep. There was one boy whose father was killed in 1948 up in the Golan Heights. And in a crazy way, he knew his father's handwriting. Didn't you hear the story? It's a weird story. Anyway, this boy was one of the, you know, on the Hermon, when they conquered back the Hermon, he walked up and he saw on a stone his father had written. Can you imagine? His father was killed in 1948. He wrote, his name was Avrom Ben Yitzchak or something. And he writes on the stone, I, Avrom Yitzchak, was here, and if my son ever comes here, he wrote it in Hebrew, I want him to know that I was here already. Tremendous. You know, right now we're really following our forefathers. You know? I want to tell you something else which is super strong. Which is, you know, there those, you know, right on the sewers, you know, there were a lot of soldiers, you know. I mean, even during Yom Kippur, before the war began, I think the war began about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Listen to this crazy thing. 1:45, one officer who was not so super religious walked up to a boy, and it was religious. He says to him, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go there and do something for me. He says, I can do it tomorrow also, you know, it doesn't burn. It's Yom Kippur today. He says, I'm telling you to do it, you know. So he says to him, if it's an order, you know, there's nothing you can do. In the army, you have to listen to orders. He says, if it's an order, I have to do it. But if you're just saying it, then I won't do it. You know, so he didn't have the chutzpah to say it's an order. So he said, I'm just saying it. He says, okay, I won't do it. And it really had time till the next day, you know. So the officer says, I'm going to do it myself. At that, 5 minutes later, the war broke out. And this little officer was just there, was caught the first, was killed, you know. And the little Yidala who kept Yom Kippur was not killed. But I want you to know, all of Israel is talking about this. There was one Yechidah, how do you call it Yechidah? You know, one little unit. And they decided, despite the war, they decided that they will not stop praying Yom Kippur. And they had always a minion out of them who kept on davening. Can you imagine? Despite all the things that was going on. And every half hour they changed. And all night long they said Tillim. And they decided also, among us, there always have to be 10 people who say Tillim. The next morning they woke up. And all of them put on film, they davened. And there's not one Yechidah from the whole Suez when nobody was wounded, when nobody was killed. It's the only one. Can you imagine? But the whole Yechidah came back. I'm strong. Listen, I'm sure, Be'ez Hashem, when days will be better, someone will collect all those holy stories, you know. There is something heartbreaking. You know, Yom Kippur night, you know, late, when the Syrians attacked the Golan Heights, you know, there was one kibbutz there, you know, they drove up with their tanks, you know, it's a miracle. They didn't just, if they would have had more chutzpah, they could have just taken the tank and run off the whole kibbutz, but they were a little bit frightened. So this top officer ran out, and like nearly single-handed, he battled off the tank, few tanks. But then Nebuch, they shot him through the eyes here, Nebuch. And he started yelling, so his friend, another high officer, ran out to help him, and they shot him in the side, you know. So it was very, very strange, you know. I came to this hospital in Haifa, you know, Rambam. So the two are in the same room, you know, those two friends. And Nebuch, the one, you know, who was shot through the eyes, he has mamish beautiful eyes, you know, but he can't see anymore, you know. And from the tank, you know, because I don't know the whole thing was, you know, Nebuch, his hand is burned off, Nebuch, you know, so he has no eyes in one hand. My name is Shlomo Carlebach. So he says to me, I'm sure it's good to look at you, but I'm sorry I can't see you, Nebuch, you know. So I said, it's very, very holy to look at you, you know, you're shining like the high priest on Yom Kippur, you know. So he says, you're telling me stories I don't think it's that strong, you know. I says, believe me, I think it's even stronger, you know. Because the high priest, when he walked out from the Holy of Holies, he had his hand in his feet, you know. But you gave everything for the Holy Land, you know. And strange. You know. Got to tell you one more story, then we got to sing a song, we got to have and forget all the sad things, got to have the holy engagement. But I want you to know one thing, you know. During one of my little playings for one of the little units, suddenly they caught 9 Egyptian soldiers, you know. Because they had no more water, so they came to give themselves up. It was just heartbreaking to see, you know, the way these Jewish soldiers treat those Egyptians, you know. There was one wounded soldier, and they have to tie him up, you know. So they were so careful, you know, not to tie him up just in order it should hurt him, you know. And I was standing there, and this officer was standing the whole time, be very careful, don't hurt them, and just treat them very good. The whole time, he told them 3 times, you know. So they gave them water, you know, because they were thirsty. One of the Egyptians has a chutzpah. After they gave him water, and he says, we are going to kill all the Jews because Allah is on our side. So this one sweet little soldier, you know, I tell you something, I would have knocked him off, you know. Well, what kind of chutzpah is that, you know? Or what kind of chutzpah is that, you know? So this little soldier boy says to him, he says, maybe you want some more water, you know? I don't know if this was a level of wrong, maybe higher, you know? I'm telling you, those kids have reached heights, you know, spiritual heights in just unbelievable way. You know? I can tell you one thing, you know? I don't know if I told you that the general of the Navy, you know, I was privileged to play there, you know. There were about, I don't know, maybe 2,000 soldiers. Zweit Mamish called me Rabbi Shlomo. The Zweit Mamish by the top, the Red Sea, you know. And they they're controlling the whole Suez and the whole thing. And anyway, this general sent word to me I should wait with my counsel till he comes, you know. So he came. Okay, you know, what can you do? Such a great man, you know. I don't know if you ever followed the war a little bit, you know. They did the most heroic things in the world, you know. Can you imagine one little? They went in on a blown up ship, you know. And the blown up ship, it's made out of how do you call it? They blow it up. How do you call it? What? What? Inflated boat. Can you imagine 1 million of kids went on a inflated boat right into the navy of the Egyptians, surrounded by Egyptian ships, and they captured the admiral of the Egyptians. They walked up to the ship, got him out, and on this blown up ship, on the inflated ships, they brought him back to a Gewalt, you know. But anyway, I tell you one thing, you know. God forbid, imagine they would have caught one of our generals, you know, what they would have done to them. Do you know that this admiral assembled all the officers and they went to greet him? I saw pictures. Amish, they shake his hand, and the admiral says to him, you know, I'm so sorry that we couldn't invite you earlier to visit us. Would have been so much nicer, you know, would have been with us. So he says, I'm sorry. But anyway, I just want you to know, I saw pictures, the way he looks after he was caught, this Egyptian. Amish beaming, you know. He never seen people like this, you know. I'm sure, you know, he thought most probably the way they are told, well, the mamish is so for the first time human beings, And then the same day, I don't know if you saw this picture of 6 soldiers in Syrian, frightened, and cut. I don't know if you saw this boy, his whole face is cut up, Gewalt, But anyway, just right now, God is really showing the world. I want you to know one sweet thing. Imagine if this is my shirt. It happens to be my shirt. It could have been somebody else's shirt also, right? But imagine if there's a shirt which is mamish made to my measure. Nobody else can wear it. They can wear it, but it doesn't fit them. It's more than my shirt. It really is my shirt. Same as countries, There are countries in Switzerland. The Germans could live there also. So Swiss people live there. India, the Chinese could have lived there also, but it so happens that Indians live there. Israel it's not just it belongs to us, It was made according to our measure. It really is so. I don't know if you know this. The Medrash says, how do we know it belongs to us? It's very simple. Because there's no people in the world who can build the Holy Land. For 2,000 years, how many nations passed by the Holy Land? They couldn't build it. It doesn't go. A Yidele comes, a Gewalt. In Sharm el-Sheikh, the Egyptians were there for so long, They lived there like animals, I had to tell you bad things. For 15 years, they were living there, they didn't even make bathrooms. They were just living like animals. The Yiddelach are there, not only did build it, they're building many motels. Motels. Mama's right. Do you know how beautiful it is there? Have you ever been on a Greek island? Very beautiful. Sharm el-Sheikh is, first of all, it's the most purest air in the world, Mama's pure air. And the ocean is just so beautiful. And there's a little motel there, And they're building a whole city now. And they've already put pipes there to get water. They're rebuilding mamish everything. It's mamish our country. Mamish. On one hand, it's really good, I tell you, politically, that the United States is not really helping us, only half. Because God really wants us to know that He's the only one who's really on our side. Because if, God forbid, there would be one more country completely on our side, it wouldn't be so complete. So it's good. They're helping us. We need them for weapons and a few things, like little shamsel, God told them, okay, knock it off, give some weapons. It's not real, Mamish not so real. I forgot to tell you, this admiral, on his table, he has a Torah, Tanakh, he has a Tilamel. And the Tilamel is wet from water, Because he told me he never goes on a ship without the Tilamel in his hand, And he goes all the time with those little ships. They have mamish the most dangerous missions in the world, it's dangerous to be in the air also, but it's not so much man to man. You know what he told me, what they did the day before it came? 2 days. He showed me, mamish, still hanging on the wall, a map of a little island, which was held by the Egyptians. It was very bad, because from that island you can, they really had to surround the Third Army, So he says like this, most unbelievable thing, he says that 2 brothers, unbelievable. Ordinary kids, One is in the Navy, the other one is in the Air Force. So those 2 brothers decided, we got to get this island off, So he says the one who's in the Navy has only one arm, because he was wounded in the 6-Day War. Then he says he was 2 years in Egypt as a prisoner of war, and they knocked him off, and his mamish, every part of his body is sick, And he was begging him. He says, you cannot join the army now. He says, I got to, And he took him because he's mamish a hero, So he says his brother took a little plane at night, and he flew around a little bit the island to measure the island, to know exactly how big it is, how small. Then the brother can you imagine? Took a little blown up boat again, and he a few kids. And mamish a gewalt, one was attacking from this side. There were thousands of Egyptians on that island, And a few kids, mamish took over the whole island, In the middle of the night. And the Egyptians surrendered, Because one came and blew it up from this side, and the other from the other side, and they were in the middle. So they just gave themselves up. I'm sure after they gave themselves up, and they saw the only 2 blown up ships, It's 20 Yidalach, But what's the strangest thing in the world is, you and I know the truth. Take the whole world. Do you think the world ever taught their children history about the Maccabees? Never. Have you ever studied history? Maccabees? That 71 people drove out the whole Greek Empire? Did they ever study about Bar Kokhba? That's the strangest thing, as if he would have been betrayed by spies. Bar Kokhba could have knocked off the whole Roman Empire. The truth, right? In history, did they ever teach about the 6-Day War, that mamish kids knocked off the whole world? Or even today, I haven't seen one newspaper writing anything good about the Jews. We're just happy if they don't write much too bad, You know what it is? Because all those kids are really connected to that which is hidden, From another world, mamish from another world. Just hope for the best. Can someone bring me my guitar and let's mamish go strong. We need some candles and let's mamish celebrate like mad.
My beautiful friend, we're still singing the old melodies. Everything is old. Yiddishkeit is old. And not real Yiddishkeit is old, but the Yiddishkeit, the way we are doing it, the way we are teaching it. Shabbos is old. Whatever we think of Yerushalayim is old. Whatever we think of each other is old. So this is my deepest prayer. In the name of all of us, Meshavam Noshir. The master of the world, put a new song into our hearts. I know my beautiful friends, you and I, we are walking the streets of Yerushalayim, of Tel Aviv, of Haifa, Beersheba. When we look at our young people, you know what they need. I walk the streets of New York, of Paris, of Sydney, of Rome, of Stockholm, and I see the eyes of the people, you know what they're crying for. I'm a show. But that new song comes only from the holy city. We show. And one day the whole world will learn from us to sing a new song. A song without hatred, a song just with love. I wish just for my children, your children, Misham Nashir, Shir, Chol. Ubina, oh no,